Hey guys, you following us on Money Control. I'm Manisha Gupta, and the spotlight today is on metal prices, which are closing this week on a positive note. There has been just so much that China has been doing in a string of stimulus measures, which clearly seems to be supporting. Let's take you one by one on what China really has done in this week that clearly has been supportive. Well, to begin with, China has opened up its markets. It says that it's going to unblock financing channels of stocks, bonds, loans for private companies. That's a big push. And then China also is looking to reduce the bank forex RRR from nearly 6 to 4% from 15th of September. That has improved the sentiment in China. And today morning, we saw China Caixin PMI numbers come in at 51, which has been positive. Also supporting the metals has been the dollar index. That has declined nearly 0.5% in this week. So when you look at various metals, they are trading at a multi-week highs. In this week, we've seen iron ore prices at a 5-week high, steel at 1-month highs, aluminum at 3-week highs. Even copper prices are trading at a 1-week highs as well. And that chart tells you on what we've done on a week-on-week basis and for the month of August as well. So as you can see, for the month of August, we may not have performed so well, but the metal prices clearly trading in the positive on a week-on-week basis. Well, to talk about metals and how the next week could be looking like, we are now joined by Navneet Damani of Motilal Oswal. Navneet, hi, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, on all the things that China has done, how are you reading into it? Because clearly China is the biggest producer and consumer of many of these metals. And even as the economic data for the month of July is not so great, and same goes for the month of August, but the whole string of stimulus measures, how are you reading that?
Well, Manisha, hello. And the world has been waiting for China for the last 7, 8 months to deliver some big bang announcement and which could be supportive for the metal prices and the overall economy per se. But that's exactly that has not happened. And there have been a slew of measures and small bit of announcement coming out of China, but the major ones are still on card and still missing. And now taking a step back, if we see the RRR at one point in time from China was about 19%, and it's been crashing down and it's lower to as low as 6%. Today, the buzz is that it could be as brought down to about 4%, which is a supportive measure from that point that the rates are going to be further lower. Industrial activity is likely to pick up, and inflation is also likely to have some kind of booster. Because as we see, the world is battling for higher inflation, but China as an economy has been struggling with lower inflation, lower PMI number, and lower growth number for quite some time now.
What are you expecting furthermore from China, which would bring around more confidence, more investments back into this sector?
Well, the announcement from China are kind of getting some stability to the market. I don't think they have a lot of ammunitions left at this point in time to fire those shots so that they can bring it right on track immediately. There will be gradual announcements, and which some of which we have already seen that they are kind of supporting the housing sector. There are two large companies which are already in major financial crisis, so need to support the financial markets as well as the housing market because. Housing is a very big component of Chinese economy, and to put into proportion, housing requires about the 30% of the metal consumption in China is into the housing sector. So if that economy is not doing well, that segment of the economy is not doing well, that is struggling, then the metal demand is likely to be weaker. So the announcement that you previously mentioned to support the housing economic is likely to be positive and is likely to be supportive for the metal prices. To top it up, RRR cut is one of the things. I think some announcement could be coming on from the automobile segment as well, which could be the next big booster for the metal prices. However, some positivity can come in when China starts to step in and the start to fill the State Reserve Bureau. Because as of now, we are not seeing that coming in from China. At lower levels, we generally see that China comes in and start filling its material at the State Reserve Bureau, but copper was down to about 7,000 levels. Zinc was down to $2,100. Aluminum was down to $2,000 level. We didn't see any kind of positive sentiments coming in from China then. So if at all they decide, if that could be one of the bigger measures which could provide a medium-term positive prospect to the metal complex.
Also, the fact that the building season, the seasonal demand starts in September, goes into October for China as well. Do you see that supporting? And also, how would you read the dollar index, which seems to have come off its highs? We've seen 0.5% of a decline in this week.
Well, absolutely. We are coming from a non-seasonal atmosphere to a seasonal flavor, and September, October, and to some extent November is also a season where you see building activity picking up very strongly. To top it up, then comes a period where winters are pretty bad in China in terms of smog related concerns. So there could be some announcement where industrial activity could be slowed down, smelting activity could be slowed down. Of course, that leads to lower output and lower production, which could be some sentimentally positive. But it all depends what kind of winter does China witnesses this time. Uh, Along with that, as you mentioned, that dollar index has been a very volatile market at this point in time. We've seen it go to below 100 levels and then bounce back to about 104, 104 and a half levels. As of now, we see a little bit of cool off in this last 1 week. I think dollar index is likely to stay on the positive side only. We may see some bit of retracement after the 400, 450 basis point jump that we're seeing. Maybe at best we can see 102.5, 102.7 levels, but the larger trend remains of a positive dollar, and 104, 105 is where we see dollar index comfortably trading over the next couple of months.
Fair point that. How are you also looking at the overall metal prices then? I mean, I would come to you for individual pricing here, but do you think we are anywhere close to bottom, or with the kind of uncertainties that we are still looking at, you think China would need to do more, or you would need to see some more stronger reaction on charts before we get into a buying?
Well, we are largely depending on China, but that exactly is not coming out for the metal complex. Of course, for the last 1 quarter, we've been seeing bottoming out formation on technical parameters also, and in terms of price action also. China have been doing it bit. I wouldn't say that China has been sitting duck and done nothing for the economy or probably to support the sector. They are doing it in bits and pieces. The world was waiting for bigger announcement, but that is not what is exactly coming in and is neither going to come out in the near future. So whatever is coming in could be positive sentimentally as well as from a medium-term perspective. Other economies are slightly doing better because the recessionary fears have now started to recede. Europe was expected to have a kind of a hard landing, but that is not what we witnessed over the last, say, probably 1 quarter. US economic data have been reasonably well, except for the PMI numbers that we have seen, which have started to reverse. Most of the economic numbers are kind of better than what they were probably 2-3 months back. So that gives me a sense of comfort that metal prices have started to find a floor from a medium-term perspective. Now, have they bottom out, or is it the right time to buy? I think most of them are about 5-7% above what they were, say, probably 2 months back. Some bit of retracement or cool off could happen probably in the next, say, 10-15 days. But from a medium term perspective, I would like to buy on the dips.
All right. So if so then what kind of a correction then are you anticipating, and what kind of dips would you look for, and what kind of an upside are you expecting, and is there a favorite metal really?
Well, between all the metals, I think the best bet would be copper. If the economy has to revive, copper cannot be left untouched, and that is that gives me a sense of comfort that copper could be the best bet among the 5 metals that we trade. Second could be zinc, because the demand for zinc has been reasonably well. The industrial sector has been bouncing back on its feet. Iron ore prices have been reasonably firm for the last few months. Some knee-jerk correction was seen of late, but otherwise the larger trend has been positive. So my sense is that copper and zinc is where I would put my money on. Now, where to buy them? We've seen a reasonable bounce from about 6,800, 7,000 levels to about 7,500 on the LME. Anywhere close to 7,200, 7,300 is a good value buy for copper from a medium-term perspective. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 8,000 plus levels as we approach the third or fourth quarter of 2024.
Okay.
On terms of China, I think in terms of zinc, we've seen a massive bottoming out formation. Prices had corrected very sharply, and that is where we see a lot of supply destruction also started to kick in. Anywhere close to 2,300 is a good level to enter zinc from a perspective of 27, 2,800 levels from a 1 quarter perspective.
All right. So those are buying strategies coming in for some of those metal prices. As always, Navneet, thank you so much for joining us. And that's metals for you. China, of course, is a big factor there to watch out for. But when it comes to buying within the sector, keep an eye on copper and zinc, and that could really make you money.
How do world leaders view India?
I've long believed that the relationship between the United States and India is will be one of the defining relationships of the 21st century.
The bright spot of the global economy.
The growth rate for India, which is 6.8 in 2022. Let's not forget, this is one of the bright spots in the global economy right now, such a high growth rate.
The potential of India is enormous, and you have now a reformer, a radical reformer, who has the ability to transform it.
On the verge of a big transformation.
इस अमृत काल में हमारे संकल्पों की सिद्धि हमें आजादी के 100 वर्ष तक ले जाएगी.
A magnet for investment.
I'm actually incredibly excited about the future of India. I think India has more promise than any large country in the world.
The world is bullish on India. Moneycontrol is bullish on India. Join the campaign. Tweet to us with hashtag MC Bullish on India.